Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. As you can see, I'm not in the studio today. I'm actually out in New York City. But today on the show, we've got Fat Joe and DJ Khaled dominating the sneaker conversation right now. A hopeful sign for tennis shoes, Yeezy, the golf collaboration we need, and of course, our Hard Pass. All right. Let's start with some hot takes, and you'll find out why I'm in New York a little bit later. Congratulations to CoCo Golf for winning the US Open last weekend. Not surprisingly, that has put a spotlight on her new signature shoe, the New Balance CoCo CG1. The brick red colorway that she wore as she won her first major is selling quick at newbalance.com, although I was surprised by the $170 price tag, but then I realized, it's New Balance. If one brand whose pricing conventions still mystify me, it's them. Anyway, here's hoping it leads to a renaissance in the tennis shoe world, with CoCo leading the way on the modern side and the recent retro of the Mac Attack reminding us of the classics. We need more energy on the tennis shoe side. It's been dormant for far too long, except for when Adidas decides to push the Stan Smith or Nike retros the Tech Challenger 2. Speaking of that, the release of the first two colorways of the Terra Squad Nike Air Force Ones seems to be going well, at least from our vantage point. One store apparently required people who were interested in buying to name 3 Fat Joe songs. On the one hand, it's a little silly, but ultimately harmless. Like skate shops asking people to perform skate tricks in order to buy dunks, that's a bit much, especially when you know these kids will fake it in an attempt and probably hurt themselves in order to get the shoes. But not knowing 3 Fat Joe songs, at least up the difficulty and ask them to name 3 people in Terra Squad not named Fat Joe, Remy Ma, or Big Pun. DJ Khaled, a Terra Squad member, finally got his black pair of J Balvin Air Jordan 3s collabs.
I bet you thought I couldn't get the black J Balvins, huh? You think this is a game, huh?
No, DJ Khaled, we never doubted you. We always knew you were going to get your pair, yada, yada, yada. Now, I kind of want to see what would happen if someone at Jordan Brand did say no. Like, give us that content. DJ Khaled, show us what happens in those meetings when you don't get what you want. Like, let's bring it back to Fat Joe for a second. He was on the Complex Sneaker podcast and he told the story of how he was able to acquire the super rare Wahlburger Air Jordan 4s.
I had to get Mark on the phone with Reggie on the, like, that's the only sneaker I was really like catching like turbulence over. Like, I didn't know why, but then I got the
Jordan
sneaker.
4.
See, DJ Khaled, Joey Crack out here making connections and hustling in silence, not posting thirst videos on social media, begging and guilting J Balvin for a pair. That's how you do it. By the way, I take all this back if Joe was actually begging Wahlberg for a pair in public years ago, or Khaled is secretly playing all of us, and he's running those meetings over at Jordan Brand. I would like an invite, sir. I got some ideas, one of which was actually on display this past weekend, courtesy of Odell Beckham Jr. So, OBJ is a Baltimore Raven now, and one of his first acts was to rock a vintage Deion Sanders t-shirt in Ravens purple and to bring back the Jordan Super Freak, aka Randy Moss's signature trainers. Ravens fans probably don't care because he didn't do anything last Sunday, but I care, OBJ. Thank you for bringing back this gem so that we can all tell secret Jordan VP DJ Khaled what needs to be done. A proper retro of the Super Freaks with the 84 on the tongue. None of that 23 nonsense that was on the 2010 retro. Turning our attention to golf for a second, for a while now, we've begged Jordan Brand and Tiger Woods to come together on something, anything really. But it turns out we may have been looking at this whole thing wrong, because as cool as the two icons joining forces would be, a Tiger Woods and Eastside Golf partnership would be out of this world. It came to me while I was watching Eastside co-founder Earl Cooper, wearing the elusive Air Jordan 34 Golfs, by the way, live stream a Nexus Cup clinic on Eastside's IG account that featured a still on the men Tiger alongside Will Zalatoris and Ricky Fowler. Nike TW 13, 14, and 15s with that Eastside Golf touch? Sign me up, man. Let's go. Hey, you know what never gets old? Nick Young telling this story about the late Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I knew he was gonna do something. He seen them Adidas, I ain't signing these shits, and threw them in the trash, like just slung them in front of everybody. I'm like, sign something for me, because he played too much. I'm like, man, come on, man. And I'm looking, everybody looking, I'm like, man, he's gonna embarrass me like this.
This is going to be Swaggy P's Chris Jericho beat The Rock and Stone Cold on the same night to become undisputed champion moment. No matter what Swag does, he will always be the guy whose shoes Kobe threw in the trash. Best thing Swag can do now is just make the story even more ridiculous as the years go on, like make up a part about Kobe telling Kanye to dig the shoes out of the trash and handing them back to Swag signed with the message, "You'll always be soft as Charmin," or something like that. If you ever wanted to live the life of a Nike executive, the late Virgil Abloh once showed us the easiest way possible. All you need is a pair of Air Force Ones, a stenciled screenshot of this stenciled in Air Force One that Virgil allegedly made for executives at Nike during ComplexCon 2016, copy, and done. You are now, wait for it, John Donahoe, who needs to make more Kobe Protros. No apologies if you don't like this bit. It's our new 17-time world champion Los Angeles Lakers. Happy belated Sneakers Day, or whatever the hell that was that happened last week. I missed it because it didn't seem like that big of a deal, and judging from the reaction on socials, it looks like I'm not the only one who noticed. And from non-existent restocks to lackluster shock drops, I guess now we know why Sneakers Day isn't as big of a deal here in the US as it is in the rest of the world. Sneakers Day is just like any other day here in America, a burning dumpster fire that we constantly subject ourselves to because we have no discipline and Nike has no incentive to ever change. Okay, so this next bit. I'm going to leave up to you, the hard pass viewer, to decide the take. The Grammy-worn Nike Air Yeezy 1 prototype recently went up for auction. The final price, $180,000. Not bad, you're probably thinking, right? Well, it's a steal for the winner because the last time these Yeezys were sold at the auction block, it went for $1.8 million. So I'm asking, what's the take? Is it Kanye has fallen from grace so badly that even his history-making sneakers are losing their luster? Or it's a conspiracy by the elite to make Kanye look bad, and if I could just resell these static 350s, I would have bought them myself. Well, I didn't make the choice because I couldn't care less, because since I know some of you still do, think of it as a public service. Oh, and don't blame the economy or whatever real world excuse you want to make. A pair of Jordan 13s MJ wore in the 1998 NBA Finals just sold for $2.2 million. Yeezy jumped over the Jumpman? Right. Okay, and our pick of the week is going to be the Levi's Crocs All-Terrain Clog in bone blue and navy. These are on September 22nd for $85 each. So a week after we declared the Shrek Crocs collab the sneaker of the year, heavy emphasis on the quotes, we have our runner-up, the first ever team up of Levi's and Crocs. Using the Japanese embroidering technique called shishiko, the classic Crocs design goes for something that is honestly basic as hell into something that set the curve and shifts the paradigm. By the way, check out this special version of the collab created by Japanese artist Prot that uses dead stock denim fabrics at Levi's offices and grafted onto the Crocs. Assuming the denim material is the same as we've seen on the collab like the Levi's Air Jordan 4, expect to see a lot of creative swerves when customizers get their hands on these for the retail release. Let's get back to the hot takes. This one is a little bit indulgent, so bear with me. If you're a fighting game fan, you're absolutely loving this era. We've got Street Fighter 6 and Mortal Kombat 1 to enjoy right now, and Tekken 8 is a few months away. And out of all of those games, I'm super hyped to play Tekken 8. Why? Because of one Leroy Smith. That's right, the man who was chosen instead of Michael Jordan to play for their varsity team in high school is in Tekken 8. I mean, what a pull by the team over there. I didn't know they were such basketball Wait, the name is just a coincidence? Tekken's Leroy Smith is actually a 50-something-year-old fighter who uses the Wing Chun fighting style and has beef with Mishima Zaibatsu? Cool, huh? Turns out he has a pit bull named Sugar and he's called the Grandmaster of Drip. That's actually pretty cool. And he was alleged to be cheesy and overpowered in Tekken 7? Damn, no wonder MJ had to play the JV squad. Leroy the GOAT. Pervs around the world rejoice. If you plan on picking up the iPhone 15 Pro in a few weeks, you'll be able to play Resident Evil Village on it with graphics comparable to modern consoles. Yeah, I don't doubt that it can do it. I just doubt it'll be good for my battery life and my ability to hold the phone without setting it on fire. But for the few minutes before it explodes, you'll be able to enjoy mommy, AKA Lady Dimitrescu, or so I've been told. Look, no kink shaming here. Speaking of rejoicing, we now have the official premiere date for, work with me here now, Attack on Titan Final Season, The Final Chapters, Special 2, aka Attack on Titan Season 4, Part 3, Chapter 2. It's November 4th, and no, I don't care when the dub is coming. Finally, that no good bastard Zeke gets his comeuppance from Captain Levi, or at least that's what I hope will happen. And look, I've seen some of the discourse online as to why some fans have turned on the series for reasons that go beyond stretching the show for as long as possible. I get you. I see, I hear you, and I understand. I also want you to know that I don't freaking care. If the first scene is Captain Levi going God mode on Zeke, I am turning the stream off afterwards. I am so far removed from anything Aaron, Mikasa, Armin, and everybody else is doing that it doesn't really matter now that the show ends for us, as long as Zeke gets his. So Anthony Edwards, he was not able to lead Team USA to any medal during the FIBA World Cup, but he quickly recovered in our minds thanks to this great story.
Famous thing, Ant didn't know who he was, blah, 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 but now they're friends. So then Ant got comfortable with him, and he called over A-Rod. And he says, I got to ask you something. How'd you screw up J-Lo?
Yeah, A-Rod, what the hell? And now J-Lo is back with Phil Knight? Come on. In other news, Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom director James Wan, says that his movie is not connected in any way to The Flash because of scheduling reasons and not knowing if they were going to drop first or not. Yeah, that's exactly why they distanced themselves from The Flash. I get you, James Wan. That's the perfectly reasonable excuse for why you didn't want to leave any dangling DCEU hooks for fans to hold on to. Not because James Gunn basically put a blowtorch to the Snyderverse, but left the possibility of Jason Momoa's take on Aquaman to survive the transition. Shout out to Nick Faldo for never letting us forget Greg choked at the 1996 Masters.
When was the last time you went shark hunting?
1996.
How'd it go?
Did well. I didn't need a bigger boat, if you know what I mean. My boat was big enough.
May I live long enough to be a winner like Sir Nick and remain mad petty towards Greg Norman because he deserves it. Before we move on to Hard Pass, I just want everybody to check out this warning from wrestler legend and noted stoner, Rob Van Dam.
My concern is that weed is a gateway drug, mainly to podcasting. How do you feel about that?
Well, if you put it that way, I would recommend stay away from weed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slippery slope, people. Heed his warning. You do not want to be that person who says, hey, let's start a podcast. There's enough out there, really. There's enough. Until we start our own Hard Pass podcast with co-writer, then, you guys can subscribe to that. Anyway, all right, it's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like Hibbett Sports shipping practices. According to someone named Stephen Christopher on the platform that used to be known as Twitter, but I'm still gonna call it Twitter, just like the Staples Center will always be the Staples Center. Hibbett Sports shipped out his pair of the Air Jordan 1 Palomino with DoorDash, and now the shoes were dashed. Get it? Because it's DoorDash, it's, Anyway, it's not uncommon for stores to ship out product via DoorDash instead of sending them the item from where their storage facilities are. Sometimes it's easier just to get in touch with the store close to the customer and have them DoorDash from there. Like, I bought products from the Apple Store and they arrive at my doorstep via courier who went to a physical location to get the stuff. But what's crazy is the lack of tracking. There should always be tracking. So a hard pass to Hibbett Sports for that lack of care, and hopefully they'll resolve Steven's situation and anybody else who's had to deal with that. Now it's time for this week's actual hard pass. LeBron James playing for Team USA basketball in 2024. After a disappointing finish at the FIBA World Cup where the states failed to even medal, there has been plenty of speculation that the big names will be signing up to play for the red, white, and blue in Paris next year. Some of the names that have been floated out there include LeBron, Steph, AD, KD, Devin Booker, Dame, Draymond Green, and more. It's understandable that the best players in the country would want to avenge a loss, but it's also predictable and kind of misleading. In 2002, after a trash-ass squad of C-teamers coached by George Karl finished 6th, the Stars claimed they were gearing up for 2004. We thought we were going to get a field that included AI, Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Ray Allen, Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, and Kobe Bryant. But for a variety of reasons, only AI and Duncan ended up playing, and we had to rely on Coach Larry Brown doing it the right way all the way to a bronze medal. Thanks, Richard Jefferson. That led to a brief renaissance where players like Kobe, LeBron, and KD committed to the program for multiple cycles and won gold in the Olympics and FIBAs from 2008 to 2016. In 2019, when Team USA failed to medal in the FIBAs, rumblings about the superstars swooping in to save the day started to circulate. But between a funky NBA schedule, injuries, and the pandemic, only KD and Green went to Tokyo. That 2021 squad won the gold, but they were far from dominant, dropping a game to France in the preliminary round and almost losing to them again in the finals. For the US, that was good enough, and that mentality led to stars sitting out Manila. And here we are, watching Dylan Brooks celebrating a bronze medal like Pat Bev won a play-in game. Oh, the worst thing to happen is him talking again. Look, a few weeks ago, we sung the praises of Anthony Edwards and how he was going to be the next big American-born superstar. Sure enough, he played well in Manila, even ended up on the all-tournament team. But his jump wasn't at the KD in 2010 level, and his teammates were not on par with that squad either. Sending only our best young talent isn't enough anymore, and it hasn't been for a long time. But you know what's also not a good idea? Pining our hopes on a 21-year veteran who will pay a lot of fines this coming season for load management. I appreciate LeBron's sentiment, but having him and AD at the center of the latest redeem team has a lot of potential to go sideways, and I'm not just saying that as a Lakers fan. Oh, not because I don't think they can win. If LeBron actually wrangles up our best, they are the prohibitive favorites to win gold. And if Joel Embiid, who has dual citizenship in the US and France, decides to sit up for the America, it's a wrap. Apologies to Giannis, Luka, Joker, and their respective teams, and to Canada, well, except for Dylan Brooks. It's just that after the Olympics, then they go back to bronze or worse at the FIBAs and hoping LeBron has discovered Michael's secret sauce by then. It's not a great plan, but if LeBron, KD, and maybe even Steph are fine with playing the elder statesman role a la Kobe in 2012 or Carmelo Anthony in 2016, that's the key. Let Booker, Embiid, and Jason Tatum run the show and allow younger players like Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, and Mikal Bridges get reps off the bench so they can better handle the next World Cup and beyond. That lets them win now and build for tomorrow. Oh, and develop big men who actually play in the post instead of running to the corners to shoot threes. Call me Steve Kerr. I got more ideas if you're curious. Anyway, that's gonna do it for the show today. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but be sure to check out us on Instagram and TikTok. I'm over at Kusto, Kustoo. We've got new episodes of our Sneaker Closet Tour series. Have you ever seen Nick's Air Jordan 11s? Check out that video to see it for yourself. If you're looking for the heat check, it's actually over on the main Kusto channel where you find our unboxing features and more. Of course, if you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your socials if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week back in the studio. All right, guys, peace.